the Vancouver Paranormal Research Society finally came. Uh, Tell us about that. How did all that go? And, how was the investigation? And what was the outcome after, everything that they did?
Um, so that was like a whole experience. I've seen it in like TV shows, right? They get out the grids, they have all the fancy lights, they have thermal, they have the what is it? It's like they had it on Xbox originally, that camera, and whatever seems like it might be a human shape, even if you don't see it yourself, it'll triangulate on that and show you a stick figure. They had that going. They had the cat balls, the is it EMF reader? Yeah, EMF reader and some other device that if you touch it or you get near it, it starts going off for communication. They had all the things going. Um, I just tried to get them if they could avoid going into where my birds were. That I would prefer that, but if they had to, of course, but just try to be respectful of my birds, right? They might be really scared of all this. Um, and they were gonna pull an all-nighter, but they decided with how active everything was that maybe they didn't need to do an all-nighter. So they came here, I think around 10, just before 10, and they stayed for an hour. And the only thing that they caught was a couple of EVPs. They didn't have anything move anything. They didn't have any other equipment go off. They didn't experience anything themselves. And they're running around, they're writing notes of, oh, the landlord's upstairs, we can hear them walking around sometimes, or oh, there's kids in the yard next door, which is like 20 feet away. So they did their due diligence, and I just stayed in my car, right, waiting for them to come out. And yeah, they wrapped up their investigation pretty quick. Said that nothing weird happened, but they would review all the footage, for the next few weeks. And then that was a whole thing where I think they had 6 or 12 members. I'm pretty sure it was six. Um, and it took 2 weeks to have all of them go through it and write their own notes, right? And just make sure that everybody was on the same page of what happened. And they ended up getting some good Class A and Class C EVPs. So yeah, that was the outcome of that.
Okay, so you sent us over the EVPs.
Hmm.
Um, so let's take a listen. I'm gonna play the first EVP you sent, which this happened at a time that you and one of the investigators went outside to take a break. Um, and the recorder was left inside, and you could hear something say, yeah. So let's check that one out. So that was the first one. Um,
Where did they pick that one up at? What room?
This is all. Oh, actually, no, this wasn't all in the bedroom. That one was outside the bathroom,
no,
which
this
is
one,
like a couple
this,
feet from my bedroom.
no, yeah, this one, I think it says it was in the bedroom. The next clip is the one that's by the washroom. So that's the one that you're talking about. So let's have a listen to that one. Sorry, give me a sec. I'm having some technical difficulties here.
Mm.
It doesn't want me to play it. It's messing around.
I'm pretty sure that the other one was near the bathroom and this one was at the bedroom because that's where a lot of the activity was and where I saw things. So
Yeah, something's going on here. It does not want me to play. Let's see, I'll try to play the first clip again just to see if it plays. Oh, it does not want me to play that second clip. Let's give it another try. Yeah, it does not want to play that second clip. Hmm, this is interesting here.
Can't have the Class A EVP, right?
Nope. Okay, so
Has it
this
given?
is the second clip. And that's the one that's saying right here.
Yeah.
So at that time when that EVP was caught, were they, looking for it or asking any sort of question where it was trying to point out where it was?
No, they just put down the tape recorder outside of my closet and they were walking out to go have a smoke break.
Yeah, that's, sometimes they do that. I've done some investigations myself, and as soon as you leave the room, that's when they decide to do something. I've always said they're camera shy. Okay, and the third clip was the one that I had mentioned that it also says yeah.
Equal warning. Equal warning.
So right before it sounds like somebody was talking, there's like a moan. Like I'll play the part again. Is that somebody or was that also caught in the EVP like from the spirit?
That's
Equal
just the
warning.
investigators.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. But yeah, you
Yeah.
could also clearly say that here that it says yeah on that
Yeah.
one. So
I always it's so eerie how it sounds like distorted when you listen to EVPs. They always sound distorted in a way. You notice that?
yeah, it's definitely probably because of the frequency that, they're being captured. Um, but yeah, when they presented these EVPs to you, like how did that make you feel?
I was on vacation with my ex. We were at Banff camping and they I got an email saying that they concluded their investigation. They were sending me some files about the EVPs, and of course, me and my ex Adam were like, "Oh, let's listen to it." Right? Big mistake. Big mistake. It scared the piss out of us. Scared the piss out of him. Scared me. Scaring him intrigued me because he was trying not to believe in this, and he was like, "Oh my God, I hear it." Um, I didn't want to go back home. I was afraid I was going to be attacked or hurt or possessed or something, and they assured me nothing bad was going to happen because if something was going to happen, it would have said something like die or get out, but instead it was like right here or whatever. So yeah, it was jarring for sure.
Uh, like during the investigation or after, did they do any type of cleansing or it was just strictly the investigation and, they'd get back to you?
It was strictly investigation, being like, yeah, it's not your mental illness. Yeah, there's something there. Good luck to you. They try to give me advice on just ignoring it. That's all they could say. Just ignore it. They warned me about not trying to stage the place because that that could antagonize it. So yeah, it was just here you go. Here's the evidence. Sorry, your house is haunted. Goodbye. Reach out if you need support. But that was it. They didn't have any way of getting rid of it. That's just kind of what they do. I don't blame them for that. Their whole job is to go out and make sure that they identify what's actually happening to make people feel better. Because sometimes it's just noise in the house, right? And they try really hard to deduce that. But then there's other times where it's like me, there's actually something paranormal happening, and they just want to give you um the confidence that it's not you, it's actually your place or whatever, right?
Well, all I gotta say is that's kind of sad that they didn't provide any sort of support as far as, cleansing or anything like that. Because I
I
mean,
I
to
don't think
me,
they have the training for that, to be
yeah.
fair. It takes a special person to deal with that sort of stuff, and it's also potentially dangerous. You gotta remember.
Oh yeah, that's definitely, you know, a thing. But, to me personally, um, when I used to go out and do investigations, I trained myself to do cleansings and all that type of stuff too. So, the intention to go do the investigation wasn't just to go find out if there was an actual spirit there or a demonic entity or whatever it was. It was to cleanse, to try and get rid of it. Sometimes it was more than one session, sometimes it was multiple sessions. There was other times we had to bring in other people to also help out with the cleanse. But the intention was to give these people peace and let them walk. Once we walked away for our final cleanse, everything was okay. And
Mm.
the way I see it is they kind of went and shook the cage and they're like, oh yeah, there's something there, good luck. So you know
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
so to me at
to
least
be fair,
it's like,
they
go ahead.
definitely don't try to antagonize it. They didn't try and like insult it and get it all riled up. They just, were politely asking questions, but giving it acknowledgement feeds into that energy, right? So yeah, I guess in that sense, maybe they kind of unintentionally just shook the cage a little bit, but they also told it to stop scaring me, is what they said. Um and for a few weeks things were a little bit better, but from that point on I just tried to tell whatever was in here, because they said they assumed there was at least three things in here. There was actually more, but they said they think at least three things, and they weren't dangerous, really scary. I could potentially try and move if I could, but then, as we all know, maybe it would follow me. Maybe it's me that's haunted and not the place, but turns out it's basically the place that's haunted. Um, and I'm just susceptible to it. So that's kind of the end of that right there.
Oh yeah, I mean, if it was you that you were haunted, you would be under oppression. And these entities would definitely want something with you and they wouldn't be good. But you know when you moved in, this started happening in this specific place. So you mentioned that on the weekends you would go with your ex. So if
Mhm.
these things were attached to you, they would definitely follow you where you went.
Mm.
So when you found out that this comes with the apartment and you have to deal with it, did you try to do any research, try to find out maybe something happened around there or inside the apartment itself? It could have been outside the property, but it just attached itself to your apartment.
Not really, to be honest. I didn't really try to get into anything more. I just tried to live with it at that point.
Mhm. Yeah, and it makes sense. Like, did you feel like if you did that, investigate it or anything, try to dig into it, do you think it would have gotten worse?
Potentially, potentially. I just when things happened, I tried to ignore it as best as I could. If it was something that I couldn't ignore, then I would just tell it politely to please stop. It was scaring me and I didn't like it. And most of the time it would stop, but at some point things started escalating again.